Hello and welcome back to Charlie Walduck's Slimming, Obesity, Dieting and Weight Loss channel. Charlie's last chance to beat obesity.
I'm Charlie.
And I'm Mark. Charles, it's exactly 12 weeks since we sat here on this lock and started your dieting journey. How's it going?
It's going good. In the last week, should I say what we've lost in the last week?
Let's do the update in a minute. I'm going to pass the microphone to you actually.
Okay. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, Mark, actually. Feeling more energised. I've still got the sore legs and I've still got the aches and pains, but yeah, I'm doing really well. I'm quite pleased.
So last week you told me that your knees were feeling quite a bit better.
Yes.
Is that still the case?
Yeah, I think it was my friend Helen that said every pound you lose £5 from the knees in terms of the pressure that you're putting on the knees. So obviously, you know, the weight that I've lost is taken, what, 250 pounds off my knees.
So what's causing the pain in your legs at the moment?
Well, I've got some nasty sort of pre-ulcers, should we say, on the legs that are causing a lot of weeping in the leg area. I went to the doctors. I've had a sort of wraparound system put on that you wrap around every day, but it was when I put it on, it was I didn't put it on right and it was poking through. Right. And I think it's caused it at the top of my leg to be
slightly worse,
quite sore. Yeah.
So what impact does that have on your day-to-day activity?
Well, it's difficult, you know, because you sat at work and you're doing the job that you do and you've got to concentrate and you've got to try and be all friendly and jolly. I work in a call centre, as you know, and you know, it can be difficult because obviously the pain, it doesn't make you feel particularly happy and jolly. So, and then in the past, Mark, I will say that when I've felt unhappy and a bit fed up and a bit unjolly, shall we say, that the thing that's made me jolly is having several pies and pasties and loads of crisps.
Does that thought still enter your mind?
Yes, and I think it always will.
How often, how many times a day does that thought?
Well, they reckon men think about sex every minute. Right. I think about crisps every minute.
Now, we've just walked down the canal here from your house.
Yeah.
The same route that we took 12 weeks ago.
Oh, that's nice.
Duck. And how did you feel? Can you remember the 12 weeks ago walk, and how do you feel it was in comparison? And incidentally, what I'll do is I'll run 12 weeks ago and today's video next to each other.
Do you know, I found it a little bit easier. I will say that I can't see any difference yet in my weight. Obviously,
Are you talking about visually or
visually?
Yeah, all right. So in terms of how you felt in terms of pain walking down the canal bank, compare this today to 12 weeks ago.
Well, this is the first stop I've made from my house, isn't it? I didn't stop and rest on anything. I didn't stop and rest on the bridge there, and this is the first time I've stopped. So yeah, I'm quite impressed, really. It's getting better.
Do you feel it's getting better?
I feel it is. Right. You know, slowly.
So
but surely.
I'm going to run the two videos that I think I've got on the archive to see whether it looks like it's getting better. Now, my personal observation is that it is getting better, and of course there might be some bias in there because I want it to look better. I'd love to know what people out there think. Do you think that the two videos that you can see running next to each other, is he improving? Let us know. Right, a few more questions for you, Charles. We were talking about the thoughts coming into your head about food, and you say that they still happen, and we jokingly said that you think about crisps every minute, and I know it was a bit tongue-in-cheek. What do you do to combat that thought?
Well, obviously I want to try and visualise myself being pain-free and visualise myself being a lot slimmer and being able to do things a lot easier. It's funny because, you know, the memory of, you know, when I was at my very worst, when I was 50 stone and I troubled walking up and down the street and doing anything, the memory of that, it just, you know, if I think about that time, I don't want to get back to that, but it faded over the years. Yeah. I didn't realise how bad and how painful it was, and I'm getting that pain. I've had that pain again now, and I don't want to go to that place, so I need to sort of visualise myself being pain-free and feeling better.
Right. Okay, so one of the things that a friend of mine called Jerry, who you've met, said was something about solution-focused.
Oh?
And now you've just said that you look back at the memory of the pain that you had before you lost the weight.
Yeah.
Do you ever look forwards and create an image of what it's going to be like after you've lost the weight?
I do, yes, I do.
And what does that look like?
Well, I've obviously got plans to, do some little jobs in my house, make it nice and cosy, and, start enjoying life, start going to the football more, start doing a lot more things that, I can't do now. It's coming up to that Christmas time now where people are out doing the Christmas shoppings, looking at the Christmas markets. I can't physically do all of that at the moment because I'm tired out very quickly. 5,000 steps a day is about my limit at the moment.
Yeah.
But, I want to visualise till next Christmas that I'm, closer to, having paid off my mortgage, closer to feeling better and feeling more invigorised as well. You don't realise how many things that it stops you doing. I find it very difficult to get in and out of the bath, and my a daily routine with in terms of keeping myself all nice and tidy and nice and clean, it's very difficult.
Yeah, and I'm sure it is, and I don't think anyone would dispute that. 12 weeks ago when we walked along here and asked you a few questions, things like how much would you like to lose a week, and you said £4, and I know last week we referenced the fact that it actually has turned out to be £4.
Yeah.
And also we had this conversation about how certain are you that it's going to work, and you said probably.
Yeah.
And it turns out that it has worked.
So far, yeah.
12 weeks down the line consistently so far, you've said so far again, which indicates there's still an element of doubt. But what's happened in the last 12 weeks that you've done that's made it work?
Well, obviously I've ate less and I've walked more. I've tried to keep a positive mindset, and I've tried to think about losing weight and feeling better, and I've calorie cap 2,000 a day, doing the steps 5,000 a day, and all those things combined with a positive mental attitude have worked over the last 12 weeks.
Yeah. I've got to say, I'm incredibly impressed, considering that you were, 33 stone when you started?
Well, it was 32 stone 5 when I started.
Right. It's a mountain to climb, and you've had this setback with your ulcers, and yet you've still soldiered on, and that's 3 months, that's a quarter of a year. If you do this for another 3 quarters of a year,
it'll be a whole year.
It'll be a whole year. And that might be, well, if you can carry on losing the weight at the same rate, which is probably unlikely, because I expect that as a percentage of your whole body weight, you can't keep losing 4 pounds weight. So we have to manage expectations. But, what I think we said last week that you'd lost 3 stone. That would be another 9 stone, which would be 12 in total.
Yeah.
You'd be down in the realms of a normal body weight, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and that's where I want to get to. But then the key is going to be staying there. Now, I was watching something recently. In fact, it was this morning I was watching it, another video on YouTube, and someone was talking about obesity and saying that everyone has a sort of a weight that they're meant to be.
Yeah.
And that it's all in their genes what weight they're meant to be. And the body will fight to get itself back to that weight. Now, maybe in my genes, it's that I should be a, 40 stone, 50 stone.
What do you think about that?
Well, I thought it was interesting, and I also thought, when I listened to it, that yes, they said, 200 years ago, that there wasn't this problem with obesity, but they said it was all to do with, the environment we live in now is different, and therefore, if it's in your genes to be a certain amount of weight, your mind and your body will fight to get you back to that weight.
Right.
Now, it was very interesting, but what I did take out of that was that if you stopped eating rubbish and started moving more, you would lose weight.
Right.
But that doesn't stop the mind and the body trying to get you back to that weight, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, can I be honest with you?
Yeah, you think it's baloney?
I think it's baloney, and I don't want to sound judgmental, because I understand that there's mental issues go on in all people's minds, right?
Yeah.
And I know that's the case. You struggle with that sometimes. But what I would say is, I mean, it's easy for me to say this because I've always been between 12 and 13 stone. Well, that's because it's a daily struggle. I weigh myself every day or every other day, I always count my calories. I'm always tempted to eat more and I'm always tempted to drink more, but I don't because I've got it under control. Because I've got control of my mental health in a sense at the moment. So
well, maybe you're meant to be 50 stone.
maybe I am, but it's not that much of a battle. It's just a question of discipline, and that's the discipline that I see you exercising now.
Yeah.
We're going to do the results any minute, but there's one thing I want to touch on before we do the results.
You're not touching anything out here in the public.
And that is this apron of skin that you're going to be left with. And it's going to be a problem, that, isn't it? Because you said just now, at the stage when you get down to a normal weight, it's keeping it off.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I may be right or may be wrong, but I always thought that one of the things that the country or the National Health Service or whatever let you down is we didn't get rid of the loose skin.
Well,
So then, therefore, did that create a situation where you just think, well, what's the point? Because I've still got all this loose skin.
yeah. Well, it did in a little way. I mean, they did do one operation, which was to remove some skin from that was causing issues. Now, the NHS won't do anything unless it's medically needed. Now, that was medically needed, not for my mental well-being, but it was medically needed because of, the sores that it was causing and the issues it was causing down below. So they did do some, but they didn't do everything. They didn't do anything in my breast area.
Did
They
that
didn't do
contribute
anything.
to you putting the weight back on?
I think so. Because I didn't feel confidence in my body. And, that other thing we were talking about that men think about every minute,
Yes.
apart from crisps, I didn't feel as if I could have a full and proper life like
yeah.
that.
Well, and again, that makes sense,
because
doesn't it?
of how I felt about taking my clothes off in front of people.
Yeah.
So
So I suppose in a way what I'm saying is we need a solution to that problem eventually, don't we? Let's talk, going back to Jerry about being solution focused.
Yeah.
And I think at some point in the future, and probably in the near future, we need to start thinking about solutions to that problem.
yeah,
And now I do know that I watched a lady on TikTok who did some crowdfunding,
oh yes,
and because they had an apron of skin and they did this crowdfunding, and so maybe we should think about that at some point in the future.
yeah, absolutely.
And also maybe go on a bit of a campaign with your GP and convince them that it is medically needed, because I believe it is mentally.
mental well-being, yeah, absolutely. But let's get to that point first.
Yeah.
And then let's
Baby steps,
baby steps,
bite-sized chunks.
and let's perhaps let it all hang out. Shall we say?
Yeah, well, that's going to be a brave step. Is when you what we're talking about is the idea of Charles doing a topless picture. It's not happened yet, but it might be something that generates some interest, which is a slightly cynical way of doing things, but needs must when the devil drives, and we might need to do that at some point.
I mean, I'd be quite embarrassed showing off my body at the moment. I'm quite happy to film something that we can show further down the line, perhaps.
Yeah.
That might be a sort of compromise to it.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as I don't end up in the sun on page 3, I don't want anything like that.
Should we get on and do the results? I've got a
let's,
cold
'cause-
today, by the way, so let's do the results.
Because it has started to rain here in Manchester, which is a surprise because it never rains in
No, it
Manchester.
doesn't. No, and it never rains on us either. does it? Right, steps, calories, weight loss for week 12.
Right, so steps this week. I've got my little pad here. I'll just get it. I haven't put my glasses on, so not sure what it says. Steps. Oh, borrow yours. Thank you very much.
We both buy Home Bargains glasses, 99p.
99p.
Should we put a link in the box below?
Sponsored by Home Bargains glasses. 5,154, my average step. So I said 5,000.
With a bad leg,
A bad leg.
5,000 steps a day. Brilliant.
Brilliant. The peak of those was on Friday when I did 8,500. It was our works due at work.
Did you go dancing?
No, I didn't dance, but it was quite a long walk to the venue where it was.
You were doing the room, you were socialising around the room.
I was.
Working the room.
I was. And average calories, 1,883, which is below the 2,000.
Below the 2,000.
So as we've said, 3 steps, positive mental attitude, okay? 1,883 calories, and feet, 5,154. So feet.
So it's 1, 2, 3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Feet.
It's a good way of looking at
stomach,
it.
Head.
Yeah. Keep moving. Right. Weight loss.
Oh, weight loss. Yes. I want fireworks. Come on. £6 lost in a week. So
Sorry, no. Say that again.
£6 lost in a week.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's £50 in total in 12 weeks. Works out above £4 a week. Fairly good. Starting weight was 32 stone and £5, and weight now is 28 stone 11 pounds.
Absolutely brilliant. Well done. Absolutely. It's starting to rain quite heavily.
Yeah.
My genes are telling me to eat some cake, so
Right,
Morrison's
okay.
is just down there, so we can get there
Yeah.
in time for some cake. You won't be having cake, obviously.
No.
But just amazing. I'm so incredibly impressed. Well done. What we're doing next week? You mentioned something about a recipe.
Yeah, I've got a good recipe lined up, so I might come over to yours next week and we'll do
Are you telling?
a
Are you
nice
doing
recipe.
the reveal on the recipe now? Or
Well,
not?
we are going to do a Cheats turkey korma curry.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Oh,
A Cheats turkey korma curry. Anything else to say?
Just thanks for watching. Keep messaging below, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.
And like the video.
And like the video. Oh, like.
It costs nothing,
like.
but it helps him a lot.
Get liking.
See you soon.
And we'll see you soon. That right?
That's brilliant.